hat, sunglasses, Pepsi, notes, sources, thick skin. Check. You already know. Let's go. Welcome to Golden Blue Dude, everybody. This is a college football channel. So if you like college football, hit the like and subscribe button. It's that simple. Also, send gear to represent your team and be a part of my background forever. All you have to do is send it to P.O. Box 360, Liberty, South Carolina 29657. Well, the first playoff rankings are out, and of course, people disagree with some things and agree with some of the things on there as well, and accept the rest. There's a lot on here that I actually agree with, but there's a couple of things, man, that I'm just... What were you thinking, playoff committee? What were you thinking? And I kind of broke it down into sections. That way we could talk about each section and see what I saw right about it and see what I saw wrong about it. So I'll start at the bottom and kind of work my way up. So the first batch of teams that I'm going to talk about is teams 21 through 25. At 21, they have Wake Forest, 22 NC State, 23 Oregon State, 24 Texas, 25 UCF. For the most part, I'm okay with 21 through 25. The only team that I'm not okay with is Texas. Why is Texas ranked? They have 3 losses, 0 wins against anybody good. And I know, they lost by just 1 point to Alabama. But guess what? A loss is a loss. And they also struggled against Iowa State. So let me get this straight. 3 losses, 0 wins against anybody good, including anybody ranked, and a struggle win against Iowa State. And yet the playoff committee thinks Texas is the number 24 team in the nation. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. Not at all. We'll go to Blue Dude. Who would you replace? Liberty. Easy. Liberty has some good wins. They don't have a bad loss. I would put Liberty in over Texas. This is ridiculous. Sorry, Texas, you don't belong in the top 25. Not in my top 25, not in the AP top 25, and certainly not in the playoff top 25. But the other 4, I'm good with. And I'm glad that they ranked Oregon State. I have Oregon State in my top 25. They have them at number 23. I think Oregon State's a good team. They don't have any wins over anybody ranked, but Oregon State's look like a good team. And they have 1 less loss than Texas. That's the biggest deal right there. And if you're going to rank Texas, UCF has to be ranked above Texas, right? I mean, they have a win over a ranked Cincinnati. And I'm good with Wake Forest over NC State because Wake Forest has that win over Liberty. That's Liberty's only loss. And at the time, a win against a ranked Florida State team on the road. And that was a hostile road environment. So I'm very good with Wake Forest over NC State. On to the next 5, 16 through number 20. Number 16 is Illinois at 7-1. Number 17, North Carolina at 7-1. Number 18, Oklahoma State at 6-2. Number 19, Tulane at 7-1. And number 20, Syracuse at 6-2. I think Oklahoma State is still a little bit too high because that was a massive blowout loss on the road to Kansas State, and that gave them a 2nd loss. And I like Tulane. I think Tulane should be ranked above Oklahoma State because Tulane actually went on the road and beat Kansas State. Oklahoma State got blown out by Kansas State. So I would definitely have Tulane ranked over Oklahoma State. I think Illinois and North Carolina should be ranked a little bit higher in these rankings because they only have 1 loss. And the playoff committee has 4 teams with 2 losses ranked ahead of Illinois and North Carolina. I understand Tulane. They're a group of 5 team. I understand that. But Oklahoma State shouldn't be ranked above Tulane. Tulane should be ranked above Oklahoma State because of the common opponent, Kansas State. Oklahoma State got blown out by Kansas State. Tulane beat Kansas State on the road, and Tulane has 1 less loss than Oklahoma State. This is simple math. Simple math, playoff committee, and you couldn't get it right. On to the next batch, 11 through 15. Number 11, Ole Miss at 8-1. Number 12, UCLA at 7-1. Number 13, Kansas State at 6-2. Number 14, Utah at 6-2. Number 15, Penn State 6-2. And yes, I do think that there's different levels of 1-loss teams, 2-loss teams, and so on and so forth. So I'm good with these 2-loss teams being above the other 2-loss teams that are ranked, but I don't like them above Illinois and North Carolina. I think Illinois and North Carolina are underrated teams. I know Illinois doesn't really have any marquee wins, but they have a great defense. Same thing with North Carolina, but they have a really good offense. Ole Miss at number 11, I think the only reason they are ranked number 11 is because they only have 1 loss. They do have a good win over number 7 Kentucky at home. They struggled at Texas A&M, and they got absolutely obliterated on the road to LSU. That was a bad loss for Ole Miss, and I'll get back to LSU here in just a minute. Number 12, UCLA. I'm actually good with that. I think UCLA is a really good team, borderline top 10. Their only loss on the road to number 10, Oregon. They have wins over number 15, Washington, and number 11, Utah. They did struggle win against South Alabama, but that was early in the season. UCLA looks really, really good. Number 13, Kansas State. I'm good with this as well. They did lose to Tulane, so I would have Tulane above Kansas State. So Tulane needs to be above Kansas State and Oklahoma State. I already mentioned why they should be above Oklahoma State because of the common opponent, and of course above Kansas State because they straight up beat Kansas State. Now, if both of these teams only had one loss and Kansas State's only loss was to Tulane, then I would be okay with Kansas State being ranked ahead of Tulane. Kansas State has 2 ranked wins at number 6, Oklahoma, but Oklahoma is not a ranked team anymore. And then number 9, Oklahoma State. So really just 1 ranked win and a struggle win at Iowa State. Number 14, Utah, 6-2. I'm good with this. Opening loss to Florida on the road. And then at number 18, UCLA. They beat number 7 USC. That's a good win. And then a struggle win at Washington State. But Washington State is a better team than people realize. Number 15, Penn State. I'm good with this as well. They're also 6-2. The only 2 ranked teams that they played this year, they lost to. At number 5, Michigan, and number 2, Ohio State. And they struggle win on the road to Purdue and Northwestern. So maybe Penn State isn't as good as people think, and they should actually be ranked lower than what they are now. No good wins on their resume. They got blown out by both ranked teams that they've played, and they actually struggled against lesser opponents. That's not a very good team. On to the next batch, 5 through 10. Yeah, now it gets really, really good. Number 5, Michigan at 8-0. Number 6, Alabama 7-1. Number 7, TCU 8-0. Number 8, Oregon 7-1. Number 9, USC 7-1. And number 10, LSU 6-2. First things first, number 6, Alabama should not be ranked ahead of number 7, TCU, who is undefeated. Alabama has 1 loss. And I know, their only loss was a road loss to a team that I'm going to talk about here in just a little bit. But still, they haven't looked good. They do have 2 ranked wins at number 20, Arkansas, and number 24, Mississippi State, but both of those 2 teams are not ranked anymore. And they had a struggle win at Texas A&M. I just don't think Alabama is the Alabama that we know. I think they're just on a down year. And yes, I do think that TCU should be ranked above Alabama. I mean, TCU has wins over number 18 Oklahoma, at number 19 Kansas, number 8 Oklahoma State, and number 17 Kansas State. And yes, they had to come from behind from big deficits to beat Oklahoma State and Kansas State, but guess what? They did that. They won. They're undefeated. They should be ranked above Alabama. It makes no sense. Number 8 is Oregon at 7-1. I'm good with this. Their only loss was an opening loss to number 3, Georgia. Yes, they got obliterated, but I think Oregon has gotten better. Good wins over number 12, BYU, and number 9, UCLA. They do have a struggle win at Washington State, but once again, Washington State is a good team, a better team than people realize. Number 9 is USC. They're also 7-1. A loss at number 20, Utah, is their only loss. Their best win is a road win against a now ranked Oregon State, so that's a pretty good win. USC will get tested later on in the year on the road to UCLA. It's number 10 that really baffles me. LSU at number 10. 6-2. Their 2 losses. Florida State. Florida State's okay, I guess, but they're not good. And they got absolutely smoked by number 8 Tennessee at home. Keywords at home. 40-13. And they do have 1 good win against number 7 Ole Miss. But don't forget, they struggled at Auburn. Auburn is really, really bad. So by ranking LSU at number 10, they can justify ranking Ole Miss at number 11 because LSU beat Ole Miss handily, so that looks like a great win, and that makes LSU look like a great team. But really, LSU is not that good of a team. Top 20 perhaps, but top 10? That is absolutely laughable. This is probably the most ridiculous ranking out of any of the teams that I've seen on this list, and that's including number 24 Texas. This is absolutely ridiculous and laughable. LSU should not be ranked at number 10. And finally, the playoff rankings 1 through 4. Number 1, Tennessee 8-0. Number 2, Ohio State 8-0. Number 3, Georgia 8-0. Number 4, Clemson 8-0. I don't have a huge problem with the top 4. I'm okay with it. Tennessee at number 1, they're 8-0. Ranked wins over at number 17 Pitt and number 20 Florida. Those 2 aren't ranked anymore, but also on the road to number 25 LSU, number 3 Alabama, and number 19 Kentucky. 3 pretty good wins. I think Tennessee has a strong argument to be the number 1 team in the nation. I'm okay with this. Do I necessarily agree with it? No, but I'm okay with it. I understand. Number 2 is Ohio State at 8-0. They have ranked wins over number 5 Notre Dame and at number 13 Penn State, but Notre Dame is nowhere near the rankings right now. Here's the key phrase though. They have blasted everybody. Everybody that they've played, they have blasted, including the road trip to number 13 Penn State. Ohio State's a pretty good team. I'm okay with them at being number 2. Number 3 is Georgia. They're also 8-0. Their best win and only win against a ranked team is against number 11 Oregon, where they blasted them. And they do have a close win at Missouri and a struggle win against Kent State. Georgia has struggled at times, and they don't have the greatest of resumes, but they are undefeated, and they're going to take on number 1 Tennessee at home. If they beat Tennessee, then this is 100% legitimized, and Georgia will become the number 1 team in the nation, and I will be just fine with that. They will have earned that ranking. And finally, number 4, Clemson. They have 3 ranked wins at number 21 Wake Forest, number 10 NC State, and number 14 Syracuse. Those are some pretty good wins. All 3 of those teams are still ranked, by the way. So yeah, Clemson deserves to be in the top 4. Clemson actually could have an argument to the number 2 spot. Yeah, they could be the number 2 team in the nation because of those good wins. They have a great resume, some close wins, but those are ranked opponents. And for an ACC schedule, Clemson's had a tough schedule this year, so I'm good with Clemson being at 4, and they have an argument to be ranked as high as number 2 in the nation. So y'all let me know in the comments section, what are your gripes and complaints for week 1 of the playoff rankings in 2022? That's all I got for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on my next show.